From the land of 10,000 lakes and just as many heartaches, welcome to the 301 Show. We're here to celebrate, commiserate, and maybe, just maybe, see a Minnesota team win it all. Whether you're dreaming of a Vikings Super Bowl, reliving the glory days of the Twins, or still recovering from the Timberwolves roller coaster, we've got you covered. This is the 301 Show, where the North remembers and the passion never fades.
Welcome into episode 32 of the 301 Show. Lots to get into today. We've got the Vikings' first preseason game going on, or that happened. We also have an update on Jordan Addison and the Twins. A couple cool things happening with them and Byron Buxton, as well as a Dustin Lynch concert happening after one of the Twins games. That and more coming up here on the 301 Show. Moving on here to the Rinkside Rundown. This one probably has the least amount to talk about, so we'll start with this one before we get into the meat of the actual episode. The Frost, again, we'll start with them. Dominique Pietri re-signed on a 2-year deal for a standard player agreement. She is going into year 2 in the PWHL, second year with the Frost. In 24-25, she played in 18 games, had 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. So she comes back. She was a Walter Cup champion. So she is back with the Frost as the Frost continue to roll out some re-signings this offseason. Over on the Wild side, again, I told you this was going to be short. We're already done with the Frost. The Wild aren't much, don't have too much more to talk about, maybe, but last time I thought that it ended up being a 10-minute segment. So the 2025 World Junior Summer Showcase, which is like the precursor to the World Junior Championships that are actually taking place in Minnesota next or this upcoming winter. The 2025 showcase is happening this summer, and the Wild had 3 prospects participating in it. Ryder Ritchie played on one of the 2 Canadian teams. There were a couple. There were so many Canadian prospects that they had to split them up into 2. So Ryder Ritchie was playing on one of the Canadian teams. He had 1 assist. And from the reports I saw, they are some things that he still needs to work on before coming to the Wild. The other 2 were Finnish players. That is Sebastian Soni and Aaron Kivaharju. Both of them are Finnish, and they both did pretty well as well. The other update for the Wild here, again, as we are 2.5 minutes into this segment and closing out the Wild part, Marco Rossi, there's an update. Again, one of the big things that has been he has been critiqued on in his career so far in the NHL is his size. He stands only at 5'9", and he was getting pushed around a lot. But again, according to reports, he has added 14 pounds of body weight this summer. A lot of that being muscle. So he is up to 5'9", 196 pounds. So if the Wild can re-sign him here, he should be able to stand his ground on the ice. So yeah, those are the updates I have on the Rinkside Rundown front. As for the predictions, we didn't have any come off the board here. Again, a lot of these I've been pushing out to the actual season starting, especially with free agency slowing down and draft slowing down. So a lot of these will come off the board during the season. That stands, Rinkside Rundown stands 17-56 still for 30%. The 3 coming on the board, Marco Rossi will, and I realize now that there is a typo in this, but Marco Rossi will re-sign with the Wild by the first preseason game. I forgot to add the P in that. That's supposed to be preseason. So by the first preseason game in 2025, Marco Rossi will be re-signed by the Wild. Second prediction is that Kirill Kaprizov will be a Hart Trophy nominee in 2025-26. Final prediction is that Philip Gustafsson will be a Vezina Trophy nominee in 2025-26. I think if those two things happen, the Wild are going to have a good year. But I could also see one of those two things happening and the Wild also not having a great year too. So just something to keep in mind there with those two. All right, welcome in now to the Wolves' Den. We've got the Lynx and the Timberwolves up here. We've got some big news coming out of the Timberwolves. Plus, the Lynx, again, continue to keep dominating the WNBA. Let's start with them. Start on a positive note here. The Lynx have improved to 27-5 on the season. They are still the number one team in the WNBA. They are number one in points for per game, field goal shooting percentage, and 3-point field goal shooting percentage at 87 points for per game, of 47.1 field goal percentage, and a 37.1 3-point percentage. From the line, they are sitting at 77.4, which is 8th out of 13 teams in the WNBA. Rebounds per game, rebounds for per game, they're tied for 6th at 34.2, so right in the middle of the pack there. Blocks per game is 5.1, which is number one in the WNBA. Turnover differential, again, I've been harping on this the last couple of weeks. I'm not really going to harp on it again. It is still minus 2.3. They're turning the ball over 2.3 more times per game than they're stealing the ball. Like they're in the negative in that. That is 11th in the WNBA. Again, I think I said this last week. With that being as bad as it is, they're still 27-5. Like they're still the number one team in the WNBA. So my point in all of this is just imagine how much could they be, 30-2 at this point on the season if that was better. So again, that's first world problems at this point when you're the best team in the WNBA and you're just nitpicking different little things. So in terms of the opponents, they are points against per game is 75.6, which is number one. It's the fewest on average. Field goal against shooting percentage is 41.9, which is second. The 3-point percentage against is 31.6, which is tied for second place. Rebounds against is 33.5, which is tied for fourth. And then blocks against per game is 2.7, which is second. They played 3 games this past week. They won in Seattle 91-87. They beat the Washington Mystics at home 80-76. And they beat the New York Liberty 83-71. And that is all without Nafisa Collier. She is hurt. She has not been back yet. Hopefully she'll be back soon. But those 3 wins came without her. And this team, again, is a very deep team, and they continue to just dominate the teams that they're playing. And again, they beat the team they faced in the WNBA finals last year, the New York Liberty, 83-71. They won by 12 points against a team that was in the finals last year. So they do play the New York Liberty again here on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday at 1 p.m., August 16th. That is a home game. They've got 3 games in a row against the New York Liberty. I've already played 1, and then they got 2 coming up here against the New York Liberty. So this one on Saturday is at home, and then they've got 1 in New York again later next week. In terms of the Timberwolves, a couple of things happened. First and foremost, the Christmas Day schedule came out, and the Timberwolves are playing the Denver Nuggets on Christmas Day. They played the Dallas Mavericks last year, I believe, and on Christmas Day. So back-to-back Christmas Day games. That is a testament to how good this team has been the last couple of years, is they are finally getting more, nationally televised recognition. And again, they're playing one of the teams they played in the playoffs a couple of years ago in that fantastic 7-game series against the Denver Nuggets. The other piece of news that came out was Michael Grady, who is the TV play-by-play guy for the Timberwolves, signed a deal with Amazon Prime. He has already signed with NBC. And so he will be not stepping away fully, but he will be doing less games this season than he has in the past. So I think the report, again, this is alleged. I'm not entirely sure if this is true or not, but it said he will be around 40 games, 45 games, so about half the games. He will be the play-by-play voice for the Timberwolves on TV. Otherwise, another report said Marnie Gellner is looking to step in to get some games there. So she is the one that does a lot of the Lynx games. And so she has obviously experience doing play-by-play, so she will probably get some games. And so it'll probably be mixing and matching for the rest of the games that they have. So it probably won't be only Marnie Gellner in the games that Michael Grady is not doing, but expect her to get at least some games. So yeah, and hopefully she can bring some of the magic that the Lynx have had this year over to the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves are just as dominant as the Lynx have been. But if we move on to the predictions here, I did have a prediction come off the board. It was a Lynx prediction. I said that they would win their next 3 games, and that was the 3 games that they won this past week. So that brings my total correct up to 19% out of 64 total predicted, and that is 30% correct. So sitting at 30%, that is up to 30%. 3 more coming on the board. First one is that the Lynx will beat the Liberty on Saturday. They will also win 30 games before they lose 7. I had one like that the other day. I said they would win 20 games before they lose 5. So they are sitting at 27-5 right now. So basically they need to go 3-1 or 3-0 in their next 4 games. If they hit 2 losses before they hit 3 wins, then that prediction is incorrect. And then my final prediction is that the Wolves will win the Christmas Day game against the Denver Nuggets. All right, now moving on to Target Field Talkers. The Twins have improved to 56-61. They are still in 4th place in the Central. They have moved up 1 spot in the wild card race to 8th place now. As for the hitting rankings, they are tied for 20th in batting average at 242. On base percentage is 313 at 20th. Slugging percentage up to 15th at 401. On base plus slugging percentage is 714, which is 14th in the MLB. Runs scored is 494, which is 22nd. Home runs, they've hit 138 home runs this year at 13th. And then they are 25th in walks, 14th in strikeouts at the plate. That's 14th fewest at 986. And then stolen bases, they are down to tied for a 26th position. That 57 stolen bases. As for the pitching and fielding rankings, the ERA is 4.24, which is 22nd. The WHIP is tied for 14th at 1.27, and again, that is the walks plus hits per innings pitched. So basically, how many runners that get on base are the pitcher's fault per inning pitched. Strikeouts, they are also 15th, and they have exactly the same as the hitters at 986. So the hitters have struck out as many times as the pitchers have gotten strikeouts at this point. As for the walks, it is 305, which is second now that they have dropped from the number 1 spot to the number 2 spot. So there's one team with, I think it's the Chicago Cubs, have fewer walks. They are tied for 9th with 53 errors. That is 9th fewest. The fielding percentage is tied for 10th best at 987. So again, the fielding has been slowly getting better. They were awful at the beginning of the year in fielding, but they've been slowly getting better at it. So I do feel like part of that is, well, we'll get into that in just a second here. Well, I want to take a quick look back this week, and we can it ties all into this. So they had a 3-game series in Detroit, which they took 2 of 3. They lost game 1 6-3. Then they won game 2 and 3 6-3 and 9-4. Yes, that is correct. I did not say the same score on accident. They lost game 1 by the same score they won game 2 of that series. So they won 2 of 3 in Detroit. Then they take on Kansas City at home. They win game 1 at 9-4. They lose game 2 2-0. And then they win game 3 5-3 in 11 innings. This is the game I want to talk about. The 5-3 win in 11 innings as if you're listening to this as I'm recording it, it is Monday. So this is the Sunday game, the game that happened yesterday. 2 massive things, 2 massive home runs that happened. First one was Ryan Fitzgerald. Again, he is on TikTok. He does a lot of behind the scenes stuff on TikTok, which is great. Drop him a follow if possible. He had his first career hit, which ended up being a home run. So congratulations to him. That gave the Twins a 2-1 lead at the time. The Royals then took the lead back 3-2. And then the Twins tie it, send it into extra innings. Nobody scores in the 10th. Then Luke Keeschall comes up in the 11th inning and hits a walk-off 2-run home run. He also went 3 for 5 on Sunday too. So fantastic game from Luke Keeschall. But this is where I want to get into in the defensive stuff. So Brooks Lee being at short is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic because, one, he doesn't have an ankle issue like another certain former Twin shortstop. He also opens up the second base position for Luke Keeschall to actually get playing time. And both of them get consistent playing time. And again, we have talked about this before, but when Brooks Lee can actually play shortstop and be in at shortstop, at shortstop, that is his best defensive position. So when he can get in there, he doesn't have to think about being at the field. He can, when he's up to bat, he can think about being up at bat and just what he needs to do. And even if it's subconscious, him playing third base or second base is I believe subconsciously taking away from his mindset at the plate. And he isn't able to dive into that more naturally. So I think having Luke Keeschall at second base, which it sounds like he's maybe the second baseman of the future, and then having Brooks Lee at short and Royce Lewis at third, you've got 3 of your 4 infield positions locked down for, again, the foreseeable future. And that looks like a fantastic thing. And they're guys playing at more natural positions for them, even though, Royce Lewis, was a shortstop coming up through the minor leagues. He played third base growing up too. So he played third base, and he has, again, been, he has been gotten better. That's what I was looking for. He has gotten a lot better at third base this year versus last year. He's fantastic at third base this year. So he, having those 3 in the infield, and again, I don't know if they have their long-term first baseman right now. Maybe they do, but if they can find a long-term solution at first base, then they have a long-term solution at every infield position, and that, again, is fantastic. And the only thing it comes down to is if the front office, if the owners are willing to approve the salary to keep those guys here, and if they keep producing, and if they don't get injured. And those last 2 things kind of go hand in hand. So if they can stay healthy, again, knock on wood, one of those 3 infielders is very injury prone, but knock on wood, they do stay healthy and they do keep producing, because those 3 guys, when they are producing well, are 3 of the backbones of this team. So again, and Luke Keeschall, he's only played 12 games in the MLB, but his slash line is .415 batting average. He's got a .500 on base percentage. So 500 out of 1,000 times that he comes up to bat, he's getting on base 500 of those times. It's absolutely fantastic. That's insane. And yes, part of that is big league pitchers just don't have as much tape on them in the major leagues. And so those numbers are going to come down. They have to come down. It's the law of large numbers at this point. But he's also going to be like, he's still like, again, I've got a prediction about this, which we'll get to. He is still, I think, arguably one of, if not the best hitters on this team in the 12 games he's played. Because he has 17 hits in those 12 games. So he's averaging over 1 hit per game. He's got 6 doubles. He's got 2 home runs, 12 RBIs. One of those 2 home runs was the walk-off on Sunday. He's got 12 RBIs. He's got 5 walks and 5 stolen bases. So him and Buxton are the 2 that are actually stealing bases and the 2 that are actually going. Like, again, and I talked about this a month or 2 ago. They don't seem to want to go first to third or steal second or take that extra base, basically. And if Luke Keeschall can take that extra base, he should absolutely be taking that extra base because he seems like he physically can. So this Luke Keeschall, again, he's doing all of this in 12 games. I understand it's a very, very small sample size, but he's 22 years old too. So he is, again, like, to me, he looks like he is a fantastic, young guy that'll be the backbone, a part of the backbone of the core of this team going forward. And he absolutely should be. So great for Keeschall coming back and still mashing the ball all over the place. If we look ahead here, we've got a 3-game series against the Yankees in New York, which a massive update on that front is that it looks like if everything all goes well, Buxton should be back for that Yankees series at some point in that 3-game series. So again, you're getting Buxton back. And Ryan Jeffers, again, was saying that the reason they're playing so well after the trade deadline is they don't have any expectations. And this looks like the 2017 team. When the 2017, the team sold at the deadline, and they're like, partially, they don't have any expectations, so they're going to be able to play better and play more freely, but also it's a big middle finger to the front office and a big FU. And the fact in that team ended up making, that was back when they had just the one singular wild card game. So they made that wild card game. And that was, again, coming off the year before, they lost 100+ games. I think they only won like 50 games that year, 58 games, something like that. So this team could very well be like that 2017 team. Like, I don't want to compare it to 2006 or 91 where they started off super slow and then they ended up, being one of the best teams in the MLB. But I could very well see this being a 2017 repeat where they sell at the deadline and then, guys start, coming together because of that. But speaking of Buxton being back, they also then after that have a 4-game series against Detroit. And the August 15th game, which is Friday, it's this upcoming Friday, is massive. If you can make it out to that Friday game, make it out to that Friday game. Because first and foremost, Dustin Lynch, country singer, is having a post-game concert. If you have a ticket to the game, you have a ticket to that concert afterwards. There is VIP tickets available too, where you can get down on the field, but those are a different certain ticket package. So then the other thing, the big thing here, August 15th, his first at-bat. People are planning this on social media in his first at-bat to give Byron Buxton a standing ovation. Because he told 6 teams in that sell-off at the trade deadline, he told 6 teams that he wasn't interested in waiving his no-trade clause. So fans want to make a statement and thank him for being loyal to Minnesota and loyal to the Twins. And the thing I saw too was Don't do it for the poll ads. Do it for Byron Buxton. So, again, if you're going to that game, expect Byron Buxton to get a standing ovation and participate in it too. So, yeah, that is the Target Field Talkers main segment here. We'll get on to predictions, which I didn't have any come off the board for Target Field Talkers. We're sitting at 12 of 50 at 24%. It is the only segment that is sitting under 30% since we started this podcast. So 24% is the worst of these segments. If we go then to the predictions, 3 coming on the board here. I said the Yankees will take at least 2 out of 3 against the Twins in New York. Twins always just seem to struggle playing in the Bronx. And then this is my Luke Keeschall prediction that I alluded to. Luke Keeschall will finish the season with a batting average over 325. So I think that number is going to come down from like the 415 or whatever it is that he's hitting right now. But I still think he hits over 300 and over 325. So if this is exactly 325, this is wrong. But if it is 326, it'll be correct. And then final prediction is Twins split the series with the Tigers. They will go exactly 2-2 in that 4-game series against the Tigers. All right, now moving into the Nordic Report. The Vikings had their first preseason game, and I know I said last week that I would be doing season predictions, but I will do the schedule prediction for best and worst case scenario, both of them next week, and then my final prediction the week after that. So preseason week 1, the Vikings do win 20-10. Again, it doesn't super matter that they won. But what does matter is a couple of players here looking pretty good. First, J.J. McCarthy had both a good and a bad day. He went 4 of 7 for 30 yards. He had 1 rush for 8 yards, and that drive ended in a field goal. Jordan Addison had 3 receptions for 33 yards and a diving catch. I do want to talk about one of those throws from J.J. McCarthy to Jordan Addison. One of it was that one was the diving catch one, and that one was put in a spot that was either going it was good and bad, because it looked initially like it was going to be just way like a bad throw. It looked like it was a bad throw initially, but McCarthy put it in a spot that was like it was either going to be an incompletion or was going to be caught by Addison. Like it was not going to be picked off. It was not going to be it wasn't going to be a turnover, basically. And now Jordan Addison also had to go and dive and make it, so you maybe wanted a little bit closer to Jordan Addison. But it was still a fantastic thought too by the rookie, or not rookie, but basically rookie QB. He also, again, I think his best play was the rush the one rush he had. He was going through his checks and saw that he had nothing and pressure was coming down on him. So he ended up just taking off for 8 yards and ran for a first down. And I think it was fourth down, like fourth and obviously less than 8. It was like 4th and 6 or 4th and 7. And he ended up running for 8 yards and getting a first down. So that, I think, was his best play in the drives that he got. Now, I also think the best part, the 2 best things, in my opinion, about other than the J.J. McCarthy rush, I think the 2 best things from that drive that McCarthy had was they were actually establishing the run, but not to just set up the pass game. Like that has not been a thing in KOC's tenure in Minnesota. Like Jordan Mason, they were handing it off to Jordan Mason because Jordan Mason is actually good. And he was like, and having him with Aaron Jones is going to be a fantastic partnership. And they're going to be able to establish the run, not just for the sake of setting up the pass game. and they're going to establish the run to actually establish a running game in each individual game. So that was fantastic. Now the other thing too is the fact that in that drive, and again, the other stuff we can, the rest of the game, I care most about that first drive, that first offensive drive for the Vikings, because that was the most players that are going to be playing. Now, obviously, like a Darisaw and a Kelly and Justin Jefferson, none of those guys played because they're all still kind of nursing injuries. And obviously, I don't think Justin Jefferson would have played if he was fully healthy anyways. So I think that that first drive, the thing that was the best about it was the fact that there were no flags on the play or on that drive. There was no flags, and which again there was also no timeouts taken because the play clock was getting too low, which we saw a lot last year. That was like a massive issue for the Vikings last year was they would either take a delay of game penalty or they would have to call a timeout because the play clock was getting too low. And that was like that I believe that was because KOC was the headset KOC has is taken down. Like it cuts off at 15 seconds left on the play clock. That's I don't know if you didn't know that. That's how it works. KOC is able to talk to JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold, whoever the quarterback is, until the 15 seconds left on the play clock. Then that turns off and it's all up to the players and the quarterback. So I think KOC was talking through every single thing with Sam Darnold last year. And I think, again, he was hurt, and I think a massive part of JJ McCarthy this year, his success, it sucks that he wasn't getting any practice last year. I think that would have set him up for more success if he was practicing. But I think he'll be set up for more success because he was able to listen to it all last year and learn the playbook and learn and actually review tape for a year. I think that part of it, and not having to call a timeout or have a delay a game flag is a massive part of the success of this team. And I think, again, I don't know, I'm not going to say that it won't ever happen, but I'm going to say that I think it'll look better this year than it did last year. And McCarthy being able to learn for a year is a massive part of that. So that was fantastic to see on the first drive. And again, like I said, it's not going to happen every single drive like that. So take this with a grain of salt. But again, I think it'll happen a lot less than it did last year. So yeah, look out for that. So the other things, again, Will Reichert was perfect yesterday. He went 2 for 2 on field goals. He had a 48-yard field goal yesterday. He went 2 for 2 on extra points. He was 4 for 4 on his kicks yesterday, between both the extra points and the field goals. Max Brosmer looks like he's maybe in the lead or battling for that QB3 spot. I don't know if he'll get up to QB2. Max Brosmer was the Gophers quarterback last year. I thought he looked really good in the little bit of time he got at the end of the game. But I think he could very well be in that QB3 spot. And then Vikings defense again looked pretty good. I know it's depth and it's all just trying to figure out the bubble players, but they only let up 10 points. And again, that's a Brian Flores led defense doing its job. And that's another thing about KOC that I love. He had Wes Phillips calling the plays in the game on Saturday. He had Wes Phillips calling the plays after the JJ McCarthy drive, and I think they said he's gonna let the QB coach, Josh McCown, call plays on Saturday against the Patriots. So he's letting other guys and have them get tape have them actually get tape and figure out if calling plays is for them for potential future jobs. And he can also see if, God forbid, something happens to me in a week, I can go out and trust these backup play callers, basically, of who I want to be backing me up. So I think it's great. I think it's great that he does that. And obviously it worked. They put up 20 points. They won. Again, the wins and losses don't super matter. But yeah, as I alluded to, week 2 is a preseason. Week 2 is against the New England Patriots. It is on Saturday, the 16th at noon. JJ McCarthy likely won't play. I don't think they have announced that he won't play or will play just yet, but I'm going to guess that he will not. I think he played in week 1, so that he didn't have jitters going into week 1 on Monday night. And I think that, that's probably a good thing, that he doesn't play in week 2, because, the other thing they're doing with the Patriots are the joint practices throughout the week, which, again, joint practices means that the Patriots are coming to Minnesota all week, because this game is in Minnesota. So the Patriots are coming here this week, and they will host joint practices at the TCO Performance Center together. And that is fantastic, because I think that's going to become way more common practice going forward. And they can actually set up real, actual scenarios that a preseason game might not allow. So they can get, again, we're going to put 1:37 on the clock. The Patriots lead 13-10. The ball is at the Vikings 34-yard line, and let's just let this play out and see what happens. And then we can coach our guys on how this looks from here. And both teams can do that. They'll send out the Viking number 1 offense and the Patriots number 1 defense and have them go against each other. And so I think, again, I love that they do the joint practices, because they can actually set up scenarios that they might not see in a preseason game, but might see in a regular season game. And it's just more controllable. And so they can do that. So I think that, again, is fantastic that they're doing joint practices. So that is probably where McCarthy is going to be getting his most reps this week, and probably won't be in the preseason game. But there is some big news coming out here. Unfortunate news is Jordan Addison. He was given a 3-game suspension due to the 2024 DUI charge. Excuse me, one second. Oh, excuse me. I had something in my throat there. But every DUI substance driving thing can have will be subject to up to a 3-game suspension. And the NFL has been pretty consistent about that over the last couple of years, as they will give out the max 3-game suspension. So Addison can practice. He can play in any preseason games, but he cannot play in the first 3 regular season games. So those 3 games are week 1, Monday night against the Bears in Chicago, week 2, Sunday night against the Atlanta Falcons, and then week 3 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. So those are the 3, the Bears, Falcons, and Bengals are the 3 teams he is missing playing. So again, I think that is brutal for the Vikings, because, again, from what I've seen from the clips from training camp and in that preseason game, they have a connection. JJ McCarthy and Jordan Addison absolutely have a connection on the field. So he will be dearly missed in those first 3 games. Jordan Addison will. So going over to predictions here, had 3 come off the board. I said we'll start with the incorrect, the bad. I said the Vikings will score 30-plus points this past Saturday against the Texans. They did not. But 2 good things about this game, 2 right predictions. JJ McCarthy leads a scoring drive against the Texans. He did. That ended in a field goal. And then the final prediction is that the Vikings will beat the Texans. And again, the wins and losses don't matter, but it does in this sense because it got me a correct prediction. So that brings it up to 19 total correct predictions out of 50 for 38%. So this is my number one percentage correct, and I will go just based off of percentage, not total number. So the number one segment, the best segment is the Nordic Report with the highest percentage at 38%. Rinkside Rundown and Wolves Den are tied at 30%, and then Target Field Talkers is in last at 24%. Total predictions here, I have 67 correct predictions out of 220 total predictions for 30%. If we go to three coming on the board here, first one is that we're going to do three more preseason game predictions. I said the first one is that the Vikings will beat the Patriots. Second one is that the Patriots will score less than 15 points, and the Vikings will score 25 or more points. So my ideal score here was that the Vikings will win 25-14. So if they win 25-14, all of three of these end up being correct. All right, welcome into the power rankings segment here, the final segment of today's episode. For this episode of power rankings, for this part, we are going to be doing the top 10 games in Minnesota sports history. And top 10 games. And this is also by team. So it's not like individual. I've done individual performance in a single game before. So this is just a team game. And so let's get into number 10 is 2022 week 15. This was the 33-0 comeback that the Vikings had against the Indianapolis Colts. That game comes into the number 10 spot. Again, the Vikings were down 33-0 in the third quarter. They were down 30-0 at halftime, and they ended up coming back to win the game 39-36 in overtime and clinch the NFC North in 2022. On to number 9. Number 9 is 2019 week 10 Gophers versus Penn State. The Gophers, I believe, were number 19, I think. And they were playing the Penn State and Indy Lions. Both teams were undefeated. And the Gophers were a top 10 team after that before the wheels fell off and they went 1-2 the rest of the season. So that game comes in at number 9. At number 8, we go back to the Vikings, 2022 week 10. This was the Bills versus Vikings game where the Vikings came back and then Josh Allen dropped the ball in the end zone and Eric Kendricks jumped on it for a touchdown to take the lead by 3 points. The Bills then drive down with 40 seconds left on the clock and kick a field goal to tie it. And then the Vikings end up winning in overtime. So that game comes in at number 8. Number 7, we go to the pond. Number 7 is 2003 round 1 game 7. This was the Wild versus the Avalanche. Andrew Burnett ends up scoring the overtime winner to send Patrick Waugh to the retirement home, and the Wild make it out of the first round for the first time in franchise history. Going on to number 6 here, we're going to the basketball court. We're going over to hoops. 2024 round 2 game 7. This was Nuggets, Wolves. Fantastic game. The Wolves were down big there in the third quarter. Karl Anthony Towns, massive comeback, helps out the comeback a ton. He goes on. This was also the game that Rudy Gobert had the little jumper over Nikola Jokic. Again, fantastic game 7 to cap off a fantastic series against the Denver Nuggets. The 10 through 6 there, it was the 2022 week 15, 33-0 comeback at number 10. The Gophers versus Penn State football in 2019 at number 9. The Bills Vikings 2022 week 10 at number 8. 2003 round 1 game 7 Wild versus Avs. Then 2024 round 2 game 7 Wolves versus Nuggets. It seems like we always have some great games. The two winter teams, men's teams, have some great games against Colorado-based teams, Denver-based teams. So that trend is going to continue here as we go on to number 5. 2014 round 1 game 7 Wild at the Avalanche. Again, this series was just back and forth. Neither team had won a road game. The Wild were in Colorado, in Denver, looking for their first road win of the series by either team. And that game, Avalanche went up by 1-0. Wild tied it. 2-1 Colorado, Wild tied it. 3-2 Colorado, Wild tied it. 4-3 Colorado, Wild tie it. And if you remember that goal, that last goal to tie it was Jared Spurgeon toe dragging Nathan McKinnon. So absolutely fantastic goal to tie it. And then the Wild with Nino Niederreiter going down with Kyle Brodziak on a 2-on-1. Nito faked or looks like he's going to pass it, but then takes the shot and scores for the Wild to again send Patrick Waugh packing as the head coach now of the Colorado Avalanche. Moving on to number 4, we're going to the baseball field. A lot of the top 4 is in the Metrodome, actually. So game 2009, game 163, Tigers versus the Twins. Last technically regular season game ever in Metrodome history, at least for the Twins. Game 163, Alexi Casilla, walk-off hit, scores Carlos Gomez, sends the Detroit Tigers home packing. They get knocked out of a playoff spot, and the Twins move on to get then swept by the New York Yankees. But we're not going to get swept in this next one. Coming in at number 3, 1991, Game 7, absolute gem of a game by Frank Viola. He pitched a 10-inning shutout. The Twins win 1-0 in 10 innings. They win the series. Second World Series in Minnesota history. It was the third in franchise history. They had won one in Washington, D.C. before they moved to Minnesota. So yeah, that game comes in at number 3. Number 2, this is probably going to be the most controversial placement. I think everybody can agree that this game should be on the list. People are going to say that this game should be the number 1. But again, this is the tale of two halves. The first half was great for the Vikings. This is a Vikings game. Second half, not so much until the last play. It is the Minneapolis Miracle and Keenum to Diggs. That game, again, comes into number 2. Absolutely, if we're talking just moments, again, I have ranked just the moments in Minnesota history. I believe I had this at number 1 in that moments list. No, I actually had this at number 2 as well. So, again, fantastic moment. And again, number 1, though, beating out the Minneapolis Miracle again here. This one of these moments came back and got the number 1 spot in the Minnesota Sports Moments list. 1991 Game 6. Again, maybe the greatest World Series game ever played. This was the Kirby Puckett catch at the wall, prevents a go-ahead home run in the late innings, and then he hits the walk-off home run to send this to Game 7, which then the Twins win. Again, might have to do this best series or best playoff, we'll say series maybe that we have to do. But 1991 Game 6 is the number 1 game in Minnesota sports history. All right, thanks for watching episode 32 of the 301 show. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you agree or disagree with. If you want a topic ranked on the power rankings, leave that down below. I'd love to get some feedback on that. Like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And yeah, we will see you next time. Peace.